Hi, I'm Michael, and I'm here to teach you about campaign size and structuring and what questions to ask your data vendors. Band 1 is $5,000 to $25,000. This level of race is school board, smaller county races, or municipal races. Band 2 is $26,000 to $300,000. This level of race should include state legislature seats, county seats, and aldermanic seats. Band 3 is $300,000 to $750,000. This band encompasses large state senate races and smaller congressional races. Band 4 is $750,000 to $10 million. This band will include congressionals and your largest state senate races. Band 5 is $10 million up to $2 billion. This band would cover your largest congressionals, your largest statewide campaigns, and presidential campaigns. So the candidate acts as the chairperson of the campaign. So they will be setting the message and really guiding the campaign in terms of the policies that they will enact. But then the staff members are really the ones that are managing the day-to-day process of the campaign and enacting the vision that sits in the candidate's mind. In bands 1 and 2, a lot of candidates think that they need to hire a campaign manager out of the gate. But this is a misconception where when you're setting up your campaign, the first two people that you're really going to need is a treasurer, because that is legally obligated by a campaign. That person's name will come on your FEC filings or your state filings. And then in addition to that, you're going to want a legal counsel as well to look over a lot of the filings that you put forward and make sure that they're all done appropriately and that everything's above the law. After you finish with that, you're going to want to look towards either getting a campaign manager or a finance director. And that decision is basically made if your campaign manager is able to handle the fundraising duties early on during the campaign, then bring that person on first. But if they're not, you're going to want to hire on a finance director first. And even a lot of campaigns, even once you get to larger campaigns, will have a finance director and even more than a couple staff on finance in place before a campaign manager comes on board. After that, you're going to want to look towards your digital staff and your field staff. And then once the campaign progresses to a point where you're starting to do GOTV operations, you're going to want to hire on as many field organizers as possible and supplement those with volunteers towards your campaign. And also the final thing that I will say is that interns are your best friend. And if you are able to flesh out your departments with interns, they're going to greatly help your campaign. And speaking as a former unpaid intern myself, please do everything that you can to pay or stipend your interns. In bands 3 and 4, you're going to hire the initial positions the same as you did in bands 1 and 2, and then build off that from there. In addition to those positions, a lot of people in bands 3 and 4 will begin to hire new positions like a research director or consultant, strategist, media buyer, pollster, communications director, mail consultant, some production teams, and either an operations director or assistant. In band 5, you're going to have the same positions that you have in bands 1 through 4, and you're going to once again start building off of those blocks. One of the main changes that will happen once you get to this level is there will often be a deputy campaign manager or managers that come into the process. These people will be in charge of taking some stuff off of the campaign manager's plate and having an oversight into different departments in the campaign and really be the point person for that. But at the end of the day, they will all be reporting back to the campaign manager. In addition to the deputy campaign manager, your team will expand to include elements like a call time manager, a body person, a lot more finance assistants, an in-state finance person, press secretary, and many, many more elements. In bands 1 and 2, your organization chart is going to be very simple, and you're going to use a lot of consultants as well as a lot of volunteers to supplement them. So in your smallest campaigns, you're going to have a candidate that's obviously at the top, and the campaign manager is going to report directly to them. But then most of the other people that you have around that campaign, even though it's going to be a limited and small staff, they are going to report to the campaign manager, and that keeps a lot of things off the candidate's desk so that they won't be getting harassed by a ton of different members of the campaign. In bands 3 and 4, once again, you're going to have the campaign manager sitting at the top of the organizational chart, and that person will report to the candidate. But then you're going to be adding in a lot more positions, and especially you're going to have more positions within each department. So different department heads will have their own staffs, and then those staffs will report to the department head, and then that department head will be part of the senior staff and be report to the campaign manager. In the largest of Band 4 campaigns and in Band 5 campaigns, we've decided to look at two different ways that you could organize your campaigns, and specifically how you would like to organize your digital departments. So in the traditional way of thinking, there was a digital director, and that person would have a couple deputies and a couple assistants that work under them, and those people in that department would coordinate with other departments on projects that they needed to work for. A newer way of thinking about this is to actually put digital embeds in each department. When we're talking about departments like your communications department, your fundraising department, and some of your research department. What this does is those embeds will still report directly to their own department that they're embedded in, but then also have the oversight of a digital director that manages all the data and everything else that they are creating and making sure that the campaign is moving forward. But what this does is make sure that you have an expert in digital in whatever department that they're in. And while we're seeing that the expand of digital fundraising and digital communication, it's really, really important and something that we advocate for to put these people within each department. The problem that campaign managers run into when looking at different tool sets is there is a multitude of different options out there, and different vendors will come in and pitch their tool as the only way that you will win your election. And it's tough to get through some of the clutter there to understand what exactly is effective and what exactly will do the best good for your campaign. One of the biggest dilemmas that campaign managers face when trying to buy tools is that vendors will sell you the sun, moon, and the stars to get you to buy their product, and you really only have one shot at this. You can't keep rotating through different vendors to get the right product because you only have a limited amount of days to get this right before you need to be turning out voters to the polls. When you're in a vendor pitch, listen for a few things. More staff time might be required than advertised. Cost overruns might happen unless there's a hard stop in place. If your data going in is shit, your data coming out is going to be shit. Sometimes the vendor isn't directly pitching you themselves. In that case, ask if they're being paid a commission on it. Ask them if they've encountered problems with the product when they've been using it. Ask them how they're measuring their results. You should ask vendors a few things before buying a tool. Ask for a live demo. Does the dashboard look easy and user-friendly? Beware if a vendor says a feature is on their roadmap. It could be a while before that comes to fruition. Consider permission settings. Will everyone have access to the platform? And will that access be the same for everyone? There are also questions to ask about pricing. Do you charge per user? Is there any setup fees? Can I get a bulk discount to set things up in advance? Never assume that a tool integrates with the voter file. Never. If a tool says that it syncs with the voter file, ask for a demo. And ask them what they plan to do with your data once they have it. Here's what you should ask before hiring a digital marketing firm. Ask them what areas of expertise they have, because they might have only expertise in one or two areas, but they might not be the same areas that you need to fill for your campaign. What reporting structure are we going to use and who is in charge?